We need that to be high-end offerings that are not just considered for great quality, value, and variety, but we have to consider the dirt and the horses and the fact that you are feet from what's going on there, and that element coming into your food and beverage experience could be a reality.
Can you illustrate for us the food and beverage system that you have here at Dickies Arena? So, number of points of sale, number of concessions, outlets. You can touch on cooking and refrigeration capacities and food and pantry quantities. Just however you choose to take that question is fine, but just can you enumerate and illustrate for us what you have here and why are you confident that that's going to meet the demands of the building?
So there's a couple of components. One, I think I am the luckiest operator in the world because one, I have this gorgeous playground and this beautiful venue to work with that really was designed very well. Again, with that guest experience in mind. How do we make it great? How do we execute at a level that's going to give the city of Fort Worth what it deserves? Coming into this community and really not even initially looking at it to think that this could become a future home for me, the second I set foot in Fort Worth, I recognized what a very special and unique city it was. And this project is truly the pinnacle of reflection of that. And we've talked a little bit with Matt about some private partnerships and components of just how this is designed. And I don't know that it could exist anywhere else. And part of that and that care and consideration of everything that went into its design is absolutely reflected in the food and beverage setup. So, if you kind of jump into food and beverage by the numbers, we have 24 permanent concessions locations. We have 4 permanent bars within that concession, so 24 food destinations, and then 4 permanent beverage or bar destinations. Within that, there are roughly 100 to probably 125 points of sale when you add in the element of the portable carts that we are creating. One of the most gorgeous design features of this venue is that plaza that exists off of our east entrance, and the design of that has been such that we are working with the liquor board in the state of Texas to allow us to actually have beverage transport in and out of the building onto that east side of our plaza, and the ability then for us to create that as a destination for our fans both before and after absolutely exists, not just for experience but also for food and beverage. So we have some beautiful fleets of portable carts that we're working on designing to be both indoor and outdoor weather, to be able to enhance that experience for product and variety on any given event. And that design will allow our points of sale to increase to roughly that 125, 130 range, depending on how many we choose to place there.
Sure.
We also have vending capabilities within the building, and the building has been designed with 4 dedicated vending pantries, which coming from other buildings, a lot of times vending became an afterthought, and it was trying to work out of the back of a small space or a former chair closet in different buildings that I've been in. And then when storage becomes a premium and when you need to rethink what that space is used for and you need more break rooms or different break rooms, suddenly those spaces go away and the vending operation is stifled because you don't have a place of base of operations, and you need that for that element to really be successful. This building was designed with that in mind, and we have 4 dedicated pantries that allow for us to create that vending experience to enhance the concessions platform as well. So that's a really nice element on the sort of structure of our concessions world. We also have an event level concession stand, which is not very common. One of the reasons for that is you've seen our rodeo box design. We are a non-traditional arena. Those rodeo boxes and our guests that are seated there, some of our most high profile, some of our most passionate, both in the city of Fort Worth and about that rodeo experience. And so we want to make sure we can get that food and beverage element to them. There is a concession stand that's been built that will allow for access for those guests to a certain degree, but also for concert goers or floor seat ticket holders to get to an experience without having to get into another area of the building. So I think that design as well just gives us a lot of flexibility that I didn't necessarily see in other buildings I was lucky enough to work in.
And how can you ensure variety of menu offerings, quality menu offerings, and ensure speed of service to the
So a couple of different components in there. As I mentioned earlier, the design of the building was really the kitchen equipment, the placement of things, the facility itself gives us the ability to get variety and increased level of food and beverage offerings to all of our guests. So the concession stands on both the event level, the main and the gallery level of our concourse, they have extensive cooking equipment in them. I have hoods in about 75% of the stands in the arena. The ability for us to therefore have grills and fryers, combi ovens inside of those spaces as part of the initial design gives us the ability to get creative and increase not just the variety but also the quality of what we're offering. So the fact that the equipment was designed in such a way was great. There's a very large commissary kitchen that was built that also has a dedicated pastry kitchen as part of its initial design, so that we can take elements of the desserts and the breads and some of those items that sometimes become a forced brought in or bought out product because you don't always have the facility to support it. We've actually had that considered in the design here. Similar things in the design that make our lives great: bulk CO2. Ice production was built into the arena's initial design. We have a dedicated smoker as part of our area. We have a popcorn room as part of the commissary and the event level structural design. And that sort of will support, of course, those concessions operations, but it even flows into the premium spaces. And so we are designed with 2 clubs. One of them is your traditional white tablecloth fine dining restaurant that has a gorgeous bar that has a large viewing space that actually looks out into the arena bowl. So certainly for our rodeo performances and for basketball sporting events, NCAA events, AAC championships, those will be some of the most coveted spaces for our premium guests that have access to that club to utilize. And the interesting part about Fort Worth, a lot of the arenas now are moving away from that traditional dining experience or a full restaurant. And the city of Fort Worth and its community, that's not where we need to move. They are looking for that high-end dining experience in conjunction with going to events like those that we'll host at the arena. So the idea of building a brand new arena and continuing to have that full-service restaurant model was important because it fits with this community. It fits with what we're providing these fans and the city that's entrusted us to create this space for them, and that legacy project that it will be. We feel that it will be there long-term. And so that space has been designed with that element, and it has a fully supported kitchen space that will allow us to service very well. Anywhere from 240 to 340 seats in that space, depending on the configuration. Obviously, we will look to ramp up during our rodeo performances where we add in those rodeo box seats, which is one of those other really incredible premium elements that will be unique to Dickies Arena. 217 rodeo box seats will have in-seat service or rodeo box service. And the truth of the matter is, it's not going to be just your typical in-seat opportunities. We need that to be high-end offerings that are not just considered for great quality, value, and variety, but we have to consider the dirt and the horses and the fact that you are feet from what's going on there, and that element coming into your food and beverage experience could be a reality. So how do we design the vehicles? How do we consider the offerings, the menu, the service component for both safety, seat lines, viewing access? All of those things are going into our consideration for that element of our experience. And the design. The rodeo boxes come off the main concourse of seating. How do we service them? Where are the pantry components that will support that element? So being able to consider that and work with the spaces we've been given to figure out how that's going to be executed, not only with the quality and the variety, but also with the efficiency and the speed of service that you mentioned. So those components are really part of the existing design, and then how we utilize spaces for rodeo that might in an otherwise concert or sporting format be altered to be a different type of space. So being able to look at our arena and get creative with conversion or creative with formatting to support with some of the premium elements we offer is nice.
I've mentioned how thoughtful this design seems to me walking in here today. That extends to the food and beverage program, no doubt about it. Did you have a seat at that design table? Have you been involved in these conversations from the early days to ensure an efficient process?
I have been so fortunate. I think one of the things that was super attractive about this project to me was, one, the passion for it by the city and the players involved, but really the idea that it's a small senior leadership group, one, and the chance to come in while we're still in this early phase of construction. I've been on the project now just over 7 months. And from the minute I got here, it was getting a chance to look at those plants, identify where's that bulk CO2 running to, where are the beer lines, how are we connecting this space to this space, and the equipment. The design was incredible, but there were some things that you notice, and on a personal preference or looking at the space and envisioning it and going out into the community of Fort Worth and saying, gee, I think there would be so much benefit if we could also do this. and then looking at the plans and saying, well, so we could do this, but we might need to swap a couple of these pieces, or maybe for the design of this building, we might need some additional tap handles, which again, in a lot of the arenas, even in our local community, they're moving away from draft beer. There's reasons for moving away from draft beer because of building design and habit that have been challenges in some of our arenas. Well, we don't have those challenges. We need to look at the Dickies Arena, we need to look at our infrastructure, what we anticipate our guest demographic and flow to be, and then get to look at those elements and say, wait a second, could we add tap lines? Could we make changes to the equipment? You know, we were looking at this incredible pastry kitchen. I felt like there were a couple of key pieces of equipment that I'd love to see added. Is this possible? So getting to come in when I did and speak with the designers and the architects and the construction group, as well as, you know, my leadership peers, to be able to say, hey, what do we think of this idea? Am I crazy? You know, I think this might be ideal. Do you see some value in it? Vet through it and then put a plan together to come to the table and say, can we still make this change? Can we still adjust to put this experience in? Because I think it's going to provide our fans a greater result on the end. And being able to come to the table even, you know, 7 months ago, which made us about, 18 months away from when we were going to open the building, the fact that a lot of that infrastructure, the power, the design, some of the walls, it was poured. But the group that's gotten together to build this arena was passionate about it being perfect to the extent we could make it. Getting into that opening, said, yeah, let's take the time, let's figure out the dollars, let's spend those dollars now to ensure that that experience is everything it can be when we open. So being able to come in and suggest those things, and then aspects that I never, even in opening buildings before, had that kind of experience to do, to look at blueprints, to understand the distances and the capacities or the power requirements, and then say, I think this is going to be worthwhile, but here's the things that I've now learned we need to do to be able to make this happen. Here's the price tag. What do we think? Can we do this? And getting a chance to be part of those conversations to both present and weigh in on the ultimate decision has been amazing.
Well, Julie, why don't we leave it there for now? I know we want to get some hard hats on and go check out this beautiful facility. So want to make sure we're leaving time for that. But thank you so much for your thoughts. This was great.
Thank you. Absolutely.